He was just a kid from Gary, Indiana, the son of a man who believed that fear was the same thing as discipline. The lead singer of a family band who could move an audience before he was old enough to understand what an audience was, and he became the most famous human being who ever lived. But here is the part the posters do not show you. Behind every moonwalk, behind every record broken, behind every sold-out stadium on every continent, there was a boy who never got to be one, who was pushed onto stages before he was ready, shaped by a father whose love came wrapped in control and terror, and who spent the rest of his life searching for the childhood that was taken from him before he even knew what it was. This is the story of Michael Jackson, not the icon, the man. Life searching for the childhood that was taken from him before he even knew what it was. This is the story of Michael Jackson, not the icon, the man. Gary, Indiana, in the 1960s is not a glamorous place. It is a working-class steel town, tough and unglamorous, and the Jackson family lives in a small house with 9 children and 2 parents doing everything they can to hold things together. Joe Jackson is the father, a former guitar player whose own musical dreams never went anywhere, and who redirected that hunger and that frustration entirely onto his children. Joe is not a gentleman. He is demanding, controlling, and his idea of motivation involves the kind of fear that leaves marks that do not show up on the outside. Katherine Jackson is the mother, gentle, deeply religious, warm, the counterweight to Joe's hardness, and the emotional anchor for her children in a household that does not leave much room for softness. From the very beginning, it is obvious that Michael is different. He absorbs music the way other children absorb air. He watches performers and replicates them perfectly almost immediately. He has a natural instinct for rhythm, for movement, for commanding attention that cannot be taught and cannot be explained. It is simply there, fully formed, from the very start. Joe sees this, and Joe knows exactly what to do with it. The Jackson 5 begins as a family project, Joe's project, shaped entirely by Joe's vision and Joe's rules. The brothers rehearse constantly. The standards are impossibly high. The consequences of falling short are real and immediate. Joe runs these rehearsals less like a music teacher and more like a drill sergeant who has decided that his children's talent is also his ticket out of Gary, Indiana. And it works. The Jackson 5 are extraordinary. 5 brothers who perform with a tightness and energy and showmanship that seems impossible for children their age. And at the center of all of it is Michael, the youngest lead singer, the one the audiences cannot take their eyes off, the one who performs with a joy and abandon that somehow coexists with everything happening behind the scenes. They get signed to Motown Records. They meet Berry Gordy, the legendary founder of the label, and Suzanne DePass, who becomes instrumental in shaping their early image and sound. The hits come fast. I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save. Songs that define a moment and an era, performed by kids who are still in elementary school. Michael becomes the face of the group, the voice, the focal point that everything else orbits around. And the whole time, Joe is there, watching, controlling, making sure nobody forgets who built this. Fame at that level, at that age, extracts a price that most people cannot imagine. Michael is on stages and in recording studios and in hotel rooms in cities around the world, while other children his age are riding bikes and arguing about cartoons and figuring out who they are in the ordinary, messy, unhurried way that childhood is supposed to allow. He does not get that. What he gets instead is the world, adoring crowds, a level of attention and love from strangers that is overwhelming even for adults to process, and a father who monitors everything, controls everything, and whose approval is never quite given freely enough to feel safe.